This is the TNA Wrestling July 24, 2025 full show results video which takes place at Ryan Center in Kingston, Rhode Island. The show opens up with a black and white in memory of graphic honoring the late great Hulk Hogan. The voice of Tom Hannafan is then heard announcing the unfortunate news, and we head inside the Impact Zone, where fans start chanting USA, USA. Santino Marella's music then hits and the TNA Director of Authority makes his way out. Marella starts off by addressing the top male and female titles in TNA being held by NXT stars. Marella then says, "So let me tell you something, brothers and sisters." Then Marella continues to talk and Masha Slamovic's music hits. The former TNA Knockouts World Champion then makes her down to the ring and grabs her the mic, telling Marella she's not out there to thank him for his pep talk. Slamovic then says she is out there to get what is rightfully hers. Then Slamovic says Jacy Jayne stole what should be hers at TNA Slammiversary. Slamovic then demands her contractually obligated rematch next week. Marella then agrees and Slamovic leaves as the TNA Director of Authority formally announces Masha Slamovic vs Jacy Jayne for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. As Slamovic is heading to the back, the System's music hits and they make their way out. Moose says at this point in his career it's not about titles, it's about building a legacy that makes his name synonymous with TNA, just like the phenomenal AJ Styles. Moose goes on to give Leon Slater props once again for earning the right to call himself the youngest TNA X Division champion in company history. Moose then says he sees him taking the division to new heights, then says that brings him to his next point, the TNA World Championship. Moose then says others are calling themselves the face of TNA and he has seen many people come and go, just like Eddie Edwards has, who has said the same thing. Moose then says Eddie is the heart and soul of TNA. Moose then says they've been waving the TNA flag and carrying the company on their backs through thick and thin. Moose then says he knows what he must now do next and then says it's as easy as 3 words. TNA World Champion Trick Williams' music then hits and he makes his way out accompanied by First Class. Williams then goes on to call out Moose for mumbling his words while trying to call him out. Williams then says, "I'm the man who took out the average Joe." Williams then boasts being the same man who also took out Mike Santana and brought TNA the largest attendance of all time, then says, "This is Trick NA." Williams then tells Moose he doesn't care if he's on a mission, repping the System or playing for the Detroit Pistons. Moose then tells Williams to wobble his ass down here with Uncle Phil and Pink, and the System will show them how they do things in TNA. The entrance music for Order 4 then hits and out comes Mustafa Ali, Tasha Steelz, and the Great Hands duo of John Skyler and Jason Hotch. Ali then tells Williams that they shouldn't talk about it and then mentions burying his ass like his name is The Undertaker as he and Order 4 walk past him. Ali then demands the citizens of TNA and the Impact Zone to rise and give him proper applause. As he finishes his statement while entering the ring, Ali and Order 4 are attacked by the System. The two groups then brawl as Williams and First Class are shown laughing and enjoying it on the stage. Backstage, Santino Marella tells the System there's too much chaos. Matt Cardona appears, offering his help, then Marella books Cardona and Myers versus the Great Hands, and the System versus Trick Williams and First Class. The personal concierge then talks some trash to the crowd before personally introducing the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Champions, the Elegance brand. Ash by Elegance, Heather by Elegance and M by Elegance then make their way down to the ring for the first match of the night. The Inspiration then make their way down to the ring for the next match of the night, and their partner was former NXT superstar Jakara Jackson aka Mara Sadè. Then we saw a 6-woman tag team match between the Elegance brand versus the Inspiration and Mara Sadè. The match starts off with the Inspiration and Sad beating down the Elegance brand, who get out of the ring. Sadè then hits a suicide dive on the Elegance brand. Ash and the rest of the Elegance brand then keep Lee isolated on their side of the ring. Lee then makes the tag and this leads to Sadè helping the Inspiration to hit their double team finisher for the pinfall victory. Tom Hannafan then narrates a new TNA injury report presented by Bioflex. We learn that TNA interviewer Gia Miller suffered multiple bruises and a minor head injury as a result of the attack by Tessa Blanchard, who is suspended indefinitely as a result. Miller is under medical observation and will be sidelined while recovering. It is also announced that Moose suffered a hip injury during his TNA X Division Championship loss to Leon Slater at TNA Slammiversary, and his status is day-to-day as he is being monitored by TNA medical staff. It is then announced that KC Navarro re-aggravated a previous knee injury during the 4-way tag team title ladder match at TNA Slammiversary. We then head to the back, where Gabby Laspiza finds Mike Santana, who walks away without saying anything. She then finds Indy Hartwell and says Tessa attacking Gia was pathetic, but now she can focus on becoming the Knockouts World Champion. Dani Luna then shows up and Victoria Crawford then says she is officially a mentor. She then says she will give Dani Luna the match she wants since she is their mentor. TNA X Division Champion, the youngest in charge Leon Slater is then introduced and he makes his way down to the ring as highlights of AJ Styles singing his praises at TNA Slammiversary are shown. Slater starts off by telling the fans chanting his name and "You deserve it" that they are far too kind. He then talks about making history and how he respects Moose for how he has handled things. He then vows to bring the TNA X Division Championship to new heights. Slater then asks the Hardys to come out and they do. Then Matt Hardy talks about there being a special energy in the building tonight and in TNA in general. He then sings the praises of Leon Slater and Jeff Hardy does the same. Steve Maclin's music then hits and he makes his way out and Maclin talks about being ready for war after outsiders infiltrate TNA regularly. He then praises Slater for being the future and calls the Hardys his peers and mentors and the greatest tag team of all time. Maclin then says all four of them are ready to represent TNA in war. All four men then hold their respective titles up in the air together. Then we saw a no DQ match between Jake Something vs Mance Warner, and the result of this match was Jake Something defeated Mance Warner by pinfall after hitting the Black Hole Slam. Fatal Influences TNA Knockouts World Champion and WWE NXT Women's Champion Jacy Jayne's music then hits and she makes her way out with the rest of Fatal Influence. Jane then grabs a mic and she cuts a quick promo about making history and raising the bar. She then mentions her contractually obligated rematch against Masha Slamovich on next week's show and tells everyone to take a picture of perfection. The next match happened between the Great Hands versus Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. In the end, we see Tasha tries to distract Cardona and Alicia Edwards takes her down. A very tall member of the Secret Service then enters the ring while the referee isn't looking and he hits a choke bomb on Matt Cardona and Skylar pins him for the pinfall victory. Tom Hannafan and Matthew Rehwoldt are getting ready to call the main event of the night, but Frankie Kazarian makes his way to the commentary desk. Security then ends up coming out and escorting him to the back when he is ejected before anything happens. Frankie Kazarian then tries bullying his way back out, but he is stopped by Hendry on one side of the floor. He then tries walking around to the other, but Santana stops him, then security runs down again and forces him to the back. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Joe Hendry versus Mike Santana. In the end, we see both men try their finishers and some back and forth pin attempts and roll-ups. Santana then avoids a razor's edge attempt from Hendry, then Santana hits his spin the block finisher for the pinfall victory. After the match, Santana and Hendry goes face to face and Hendry shakes his hand and walks off. Santana then celebrates and stands tall as the show comes to a close. How much you would rate this week's TNA wrestling show? Tell me in the comments, and thanks for watching.